Good evening. My name is Celeste Trilly Palomera. Thank you for inviting me, having me here tonight to share information about Reality Tour. I am a registered nurse. More importantly, I am the mother of an addict in recovery. And because of this, I felt a need. I felt God placed it on my heart to do something to help others. I felt if I helped one person or one family not go through the nightmare that you live dealing with this, it would be worth my time. And as Carmen said, people do come out. People come out and they want to help. After much reading, research about addiction and about prevention, I finally made a choice to go with the Reality Tour. The reason I chose the Reality Tour is because it's unique in that it's a parent and child program. No child comes without their parent. It gets both the parent and child on the same page on the same day so that the kids feel that their parent's a reliable source, not she doesn't know anything, my mom doesn't know anything about this, that kind of attitude. So I'm the director of the Bell Vernon Area Reality Tour. Bell Vernon is also in Westmoreland County, but my goal, even though it's called Bell Vernon Area Reality Tour, it is for the whole Mon Valley. It is a 100% volunteer-driven program that was started in Butler, PA by Norma Norris. She's the executive director, and it was started as a grassroots summer program just in response to increasing drug use in their area. So that was back in 2003. Bring us up to 2015. It's now in 12 or 13 states. It's actually an international program now because it moved into Canada. It is a winning evidence-based program studied by the University of Pittsburgh School of Pharmacy. They have many national recognitions for the program. It is a consequence-driven program. It's appropriate for children ages 10 through 17 when accompanied by a parent or a legal guardian. It's a program that's pre-registration. It engages the audience in live dramatic scenes. There's a peer pressure scene, older kids trying to get younger kids to use. There's an arrest scene. Local police officers, local EMS are all involved in this program. It's a community outreach program. Police come in and make an arrest in the middle of the assembly. Then there's a jail scene. There's an overdose scene where a patient is brought in on a cart with doing CPR and doesn't make it, and they have to tell the parents that this child passed. And then there's a funeral scene. Each parent and child has to go by the casket. We have a closed casket with collage of pictures. There's a senior jacket, and they have to console the parents and sign the book. This is not scare tactics, folks. This is reality. Every single day in the community hospital that I work, Mon Valley Hospital, every shift, every day, numerous drug overdoses. Frequently, the ICU areas are filled with overdoses on ventilators and breathing machines because they're unresponsive because of the overdose. These scenes are as close as one can get to this type of lifestyle without making that wrong choice. The overall message of Reality Tour is basically to override the thought that this can't happen to me for the kids, and this can't happen to me, to my kids if you're the parent. This can happen to anyone. Drugs do not discriminate. And those are the ones I have the most concern for if I hear parents and kids saying that, not me. I'm most worried about them. Excuse me, the parent is the best prevention tool and protective factor out there if they're educated. If they're educated. We're not educated. Right now, it takes an average of 2 years before a parent would recognize that their child's on drugs. 2 years, and that's way too late. Not too late to try to help and change it around, but it's already well into the throes of addiction. So if the parent's educated, they can step in, intervene, and try to make some changes. The average age of experimentation now is down to 13 years old. So that's why the program starts at 10 and goes on up. It's best if we can catch these kids when they're before 13, when, you know, with being there with the parent, the program is appropriate. Probably wouldn't be if they were there alone. And most of the programs that the kids get, where they get information about drug use, drug prevention, they're by themselves. They either forget to share it with their parents, choose not to, leave the paperwork who knows where in their book bag, and the parents don't get the information. This program does address all forms of addiction, alone and in combination. Also talks about what we call gateway drugs, alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, that lead to worse drugs. There's a statistic out there, and I don't recall exactly percentage-wise, but it's phenomenal, that anybody that ends up using heroin, almost 100% started with marijuana. Now, everybody that tries marijuana doesn't end up being a heroin addict, but every heroin addict, pretty much, I can't remember the exact percentage. Do you recall, Carmen? It's about 1% or something. They end up using heroin. If they're using heroin, they had started with marijuana. It also portrays the impact of the drug addiction on the entire family, because believe me, and anyone out here that's been through it, it affects the whole family. It almost becomes your addiction because you are so intertwined with it, and we don't know how to deal with that as well. We become enablers because that's the parent, the love in us for our kids. But it's the wrong thing to do. We need to learn tough love when this is an issue, and it's very hard to do, but it's what we need to do. So how I say it impacts the whole family, we have an addict in recovery give their testimony. We have a parent of an addict give their testimony so that we can see it from all perspectives. We have a law enforcement official, we have the local sheriff, the Westmoreland County Sheriff is our routine speaker, and these three speakers are at the very end of the program. It is a 2.5-hour program, and you may think that's a really long program, but they all do entrance and exit surveys, and I review every one of them, and frequently they love the real stories, the stories like how you heard Carmen's story tonight. So right when I think maybe they would start getting bored, then these speakers come and really capture their attention. Also the dramatic scenes, they have to get up and they have to travel to different areas. We have ours at Belle Vernon High School, that's where the tours are held. So it's not like you're sitting there for 2.5 hours. Our program includes 35 to 40 different drug profiles for the child and parent, and they kind of adopt an addiction, and it has information on the card, how they started, signs, so on and so forth. So you learn a little bit about a particular drug while you're there. Here's a statistic that should throw you. Pennsylvania is number 3 in the nation for heroin use. 3rd in the nation, heroin abuse. It's horrible. It's a horrendous statistic. Not one to be proud of by any means. The hydrocodone, Oxycontin's one of them. There's a whole class of drugs that are hydrocodone based. When I saw this statistic, it blew my mind. I saw it on a map where they had a map of the world. And the United States uses 99% of all the hydrocodone that is made for the whole world. The rest of the world uses 1%. If that doesn't tell you we have a humongous problem, I don't know what does. And in my book, Big Pharma, as Carmen was mentioning, I've been reading and reading how this all started. I'm in the medical profession. Big Pharma is diabolic as far as I'm concerned as heroin. They push and push and push these pills to the doctors start pushing them, and they knowingly prescribed these Oxycontins, knowing they were more addictive than any pill out there before, and they marketed to all the physicians as being less addictive, like less than 1% chance of becoming addictive. So I've lost my respect for Big Pharma and the FDA for the reasons that Carmen mentioned. The Zohydro, which was, I think, 10 times stronger than any narcotic that was out there, and in the midst of this addiction crisis, against their own advisory committee, they released it. The advisory committee voted 11-2 not to release Zohydro, and they released it anyhow. And then the one he mentioned with the kids. They just released the OxyContin for kids 11 and up. We have become a nation of immediate gratification, and also we can't have any pain. When I grew up, we didn't have anything. We didn't even have an aspirin or Tylenol. There wasn't even Advil at the time. We all were cheerleaders, ball players. We had swollen ankles, big knees, blown out, broken bones from falling out of climbing trees. It was part of life. You had pain, you sat down for a few days, kept your leg elevated, used ice, heat, that sort of thing. Well, those are almost non-existent now. Also, with the reality tour, the schools partner with schools. This t-shirt I have on is a See Beyond the Next 10 Minutes. It's a shirt from Reality Tour. And during Red Ribbon Week, the school can fill out a grant to get 200 t-shirts, and you target one grade, maybe 6th graders, and they actually sign the t-shirt saying they can see beyond the next 10 minutes and promise to be drug-free. That's a grant that's never been denied for anybody. It comes through the Attorney General's office as well. In the last few weeks, I've been going to all the other Mon Valley school districts, speaking at their orientations, and we have a table, we pass out information and register people for the tour. And they keep talking about 3 areas that you need to be successful. To be successful, you need to have these 3 items. And they talk about attendance, attitude and behavior, and grades, academics, that you need those 3 to be successful. And as I listen to each principal talk about this at the orientations, I go up and I add one more factor, is you need to be drug-free. You're never going to be successful. My son started using drugs when he was in high school. He started not going to school. He was living with his dad at the time, and he ended up having to go to an alternative school to graduate because he missed too much school. A couple things I want to leave you with, which one of them is probably the most important thing out there as far as I'm concerned with prevention. All drugs, any prescription drugs at all, they can be seizure medicine, heart pills, blood pressure pills, and of course all the narcotics, the opioids, need to be locked up. They need to be treated as a loaded gun they can kill. If they're not locked up, you may be your child's first drug dealer. This is where they get started. They hear at school that the kids go in the cabinets, everyone uses your bathroom when they come to your house. They go to their parents' and grandparents' house and go in the cupboard and take all the pills, and then they go and have what's called farm parties, like pharmaceutical parties, and they throw all the pills in a bowl. They take a handful and they take them, and then when they overdose and go to the emergency room, we don't even know how to treat them because you don't know what all they have in them. They don't know either. So please start locking your drugs up. They do not belong in a cabinet in the bathroom that everybody uses. This is where they're getting them. Another thing, I just want to reinforce that parents are the best prevention tool. If you're educated, I'm a nurse, I didn't know anything about it. I mean, you believe the lies, the stories they tell. It's the first thing from your mind. What needs not to be the first thing from your mind, now it needs to be right out front there, because that's how big this problem is. And I tell everyone as well, Reality Tour is as important as your child's education. I mean, as their graduation and education, because if they're on drugs, they're not going to get there, unfortunately. And that's pretty much what I have to offer. And it takes some enthusiasm and some people in the community to want to get it started. It's a unlicensed contractual program that has to be purchased. I was fortunate to get the Belle Vernon Area School District and the Belle Vernon Rotary to purchase the program for us, and we've been going since we finished our first year in last April. We go through the school year. We have it once a month. Or we chose a Monday, second Monday of the month, and it is an evening program. And it did very well. It met my expectations, and my expectations for this year is to double the number of students and parents that we get. So, good luck. Thank you.